The purpose of this video is to help you fall asleep while listening to Wikipedia articles. Thank you for listening. Close your eyes, get comfortable. This is video number 1. United States Bicycle Route System. The United States Bicycle Route System, abbreviated USBRS, is a national cycling route network of the United States. It consists of interstate long-distance cycling routes that use multiple types of bicycling infrastructure, including off-road paths, bicycle lanes, and low-traffic roads. As with the complementary United States numbered highway system for motorists, each U.S. bicycle route is maintained by state and local governments. The USBRS is intended to eventually traverse the entire country, like the Dutch National Cycles Route and the United Kingdom's National Cycle Network, yet at a scale similar to the Eurovelo network that spans Europe. The USBRS was established in 1978 by the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO, the same body that coordinates the numbering of interstate highways and U.S. routes. The first 2 U.S. bicycle routes were established in 1982 and remained the only 2 until 2011. The steady growth and interest in the system has followed since. As of November 2022, 29 parent routes and 24 child routes extend 18,953 miles or 30,502 kilometers across 34 states and the District of Columbia. The system, once fully connected, is projected to encompass over 50,000 miles or 80,000 kilometers of bike routes. Layout. Unlike United States numbered highways and many national routing systems, the U.S. bicycle route system is designed to roughly follow a grid. Mainline routes are the major cross-country routes and are represented with 1 or 2-digit numbers. Even-numbered routes are planned to primarily run east to west, with low-numbered routes in the north and high-numbered routes in the south. Odd-numbered routes will primarily run north to south, with low-numbered routes starting in the east and ascending in number toward the west. 3-digit numbers are assigned to auxiliary routes, with the last 2 digits denoting the parent that the auxiliary connects to. Much like other routing systems, the grid is sometimes violated. For example, U.S. Bicycle Route 76, USBR 76, is projected to turn to the north in Colorado and in Oregon as opposed to California, south of and temporarily concurrent with USBR 20, but far north of USBR 50. As with auxiliary interstate highways, 2 distinct U.S. bicycle routes in 2 different states along the same mainline route may share the same 3-digit number without any plan to connect the routes. First example of this repetition occurred in 2021 with the approval of USBR 230 in Ohio, which is not intended to connect to the existing USBR 230 in Wisconsin. The existing USBR 1 will be the easternmost route, with USBR 5 will run farther east of it in Virginia and the Carolinas. The westernmost and northernmost routes of the USBR 97, USBR 8, respectively, both of which are in the state of Alaska, but USBR 97 also enters Washington. Outside of Alaska, the westernmost route is expected to use USBR 95 and the northernmost USBR 8. USBR 90 is expected to be the southernmost route. Despite the analogy the system has to the U.S. highway system, USBR's route numbers do not necessarily trace the same route as the corresponding U.S. highway number. For example, while USBR 1 will run close to the east coast and thus parallel U.S. Route 1, and US 1 is projected route of USBR 10 generally follows US 2. In order for a route to qualify as a U.S. bike route, it needs to connect 2 or more states, connect multiple U.S. bike routes, or connect a U.S. bike route with a national border. History. The USBR was established in 1978 by AASHTO for the purpose of facilitating travel between the states over routes which have been identified as being more suitable than others for cycling. The first routes were defined in 1982, U.S. Bicycle Route 1, USBR 1 from North Carolina to Virginia, and the stretch of USBR 76 from Illinois through Kentucky to Virginia. These 2 routes remain the only route in the system until 2011. In the interim, only minor routing changes have been made in Virginia. AASHTO established a new task force in 2003 to study expansion of the systems. The task force included state and federal highway officials and representatives from bicycling organizations. In October 2008, AASHTO approved a national level corridor and route designation plan. Other organizations involved in the effort include the State Departments of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, and the Adventure Cycling Association. In 2009, the U.S. House of Representatives proposed moving the U.S. bicycle route system under the authority of the FHWA as part of a new Office of Livability. In 2009, the FHWA published a new edition of a manual on uniform traffic control devices and introduces a revised U.S. bicycle route shield. Compared to the 2003 edition, the new design swaps the bicycle symbol and the route number. In early May 2011, the first major expansion of the system was made. 5 new parent routes, 2 child routes, and 1 alternate route were created, along with modifications to the existing routes in Virginia and the establishment of USBR 1 in New England. U.S. Bicycle Route 1 now has an additional run from the state of Maine to New Hampshire. U.S. Bicycle Route 1A is a seaside alternate route for USBR 1 in Maine. U.S. Bicycle Route 8 runs from Fairbanks, Alaska along the Alaskan Highway to the Canadian border. U.S. Bicycle Route 108 runs from its parent route in Tok, Alaska to Anchorage. U.S. Bicycle Route 208 runs from the Haines Highway from the Alaska Marine Highway Terminal in Haines to the Canadian border. The U.S. Bicycle Route 20 runs from the St. Clair River through the state of Michigan to Lake Michigan. U.S. Bicycle Route 87 follows the Klondike Highway and the Alaska Marine Highway Terminal to Skagway to the Canadian border. U.S. Bicycle Route 95 follows the Richardson Highway from Delta Junction, Alaska to the Alaska Marine Highway Terminal in Valdez. U.S. Bicycle Route 97 is entirely within Alaska and it runs from Fairbanks through Anchorage to Seward. In 2012, the FHWA approved the use of an alternate U.S. bicycle route marker designed for an interim basis. The alternative design departs from the long-standing acorn shape in favor of a little triangle placed over the green background. The FHWA gave 17 states interim approval to use the alternative design before finally incorporating it into the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices in 2023. Across 2013, several other additions to the system were made. After approval in 2012, signage for USBR 45 in Minnesota was completed in the summer. An expansion of USBR 76 into Missouri was signed in October, and both Tennessee and Maryland entered the system on November 5th with USBR 23 and USBR 50 respectively. Florida has also begun planning on 4 bicycle routes, including the stretch of USBR 1 and USBR 9. List of routes. As of November 2022, there are 31 different parent routes in the varying stages of completion. In areas where the specific route has not been approved by AASHTO, there is a prioritized corridor. The 24 existing subsidiary and alternate routes are grouped with their 1 or 2-digit parents. Approved or signposted routes are located in the District of Columbia in 33 states: Alaska, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, and West Virginia. Ohio has the most of any state with 8 active routes total. USBR 1 has states Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maryland, District of Columbia, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. The states within this corridor are Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. The official length in miles is 1,820.401 and in kilometers is 2,930. This was formed in 1982, and this is one of the original routes. USBR 1A goes through Maine, States within this corridor are Maine. The official length is 135 miles or 217 kilometers. This was formed in 2011. And there's a seaside alternative to USBR 1 in Maine. USBR 201 is in Delaware, Maryland. Corridors are in Delaware and Maryland. This is 105.1 miles and or 169 kilometers. This was formed in 2020. USBR 501 is in Maine. The corridor is in Maine. This is 327 miles or 526 kilometers. Was formed in 2019. USBR 7 is with Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. The corridor formed Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut. This runs 380.6 miles or 613 kilometers, and this was formed in 2015. USBR 108 is in Alaska. States within this corridor are Alaska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and that's it. It's 290.94 miles or 468 kilometers, and it was formed in 2011. This is the northernmost route in the system. USBR 8 was approved from Fairbanks to the Canadian border following Alaska Route 2 along the Richardson and Alaskan Highway. The second section will run from USBR 10 to Minnesota to USBR 10 in Michigan. USBR 108 Alaska, 302 miles or 486 kilometers, and this was formed in 2011. A spur of USBR 8 that follows Alaska Route 1 from Tok to Anchorage at a junction with USBR 97. USBR 208 goes through Alaska. The state corridor is Alaska. This is 39 miles or 63 kilometers. Was formed in 2011, and this is a spur of Route 8 that follows the Haines Highway. USBR 10 goes through states Washington, Idaho, and Michigan. And the corridor is Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. This is 663.6 miles or 1,068 kilometers, formed in 2014. This is the northernmost planned route in the contiguous United States, roughly following U.S. Route 2 highway. USBR 110 through Idaho. The state corridor is Idaho, and it is 29.8 kilometers or 29.8 miles or 48 kilometers. It was formed in 2017. USBR 310 goes through Washington. The corridor is Washington. It is only 1.2 miles or 2 kilometers, and it was formed in 2018. USBR 410 goes through Idaho. Corridor is Idaho. This is 50 miles or 80 kilometers long, and was formed in 2017. USBR 610 goes through Washington and Idaho. The state corridor is Washington. This is only 2.1 miles or 3 kilometers. It was formed in 2018 and extended into Idaho in 2023. USBR 11 goes through Maryland, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. The corridors are North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, New York. It is 170.3 miles or 274 kilometers. It was formed in 2014. This route generally parallels U.S. Route 11. The first section was established in Maryland on November 24th, 2014. USBR 15 goes through Georgia and Florida. The state corridors are New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. This is 106.2 miles or 171 kilometers. It was formed in 2018. The first segment is from Fitzgerald, Georgia to Florida state line. It was approved in 2018. The second segment from Georgia state line to USBR 90 in Madison, Florida was approved in 2018. USBR 20 is in Michigan, Minnesota, and Washington. Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon are the corridors. This is 575.7 miles or 926 kilometers. This was formed in 2011. Routing in Washington from Lewis and Clark Trail State Park to Idaho State Line at Clarkson, Washington. The Michigan section approved from the International Blue Water Ferry to Canada in Marine City, Michigan, and is planned to incorporate the Lake Michigan car ferry crossing between Ludington, Michigan and Manitowoc, Wisconsin. USB 21 goes through states Kentucky, Georgia, Ohio, and Tennessee. The corridors are Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia. This is 1,043.4 miles, and it is 1,679 kilometers. Was formed in 2015. USBR 121 is in Tennessee. There are no state corridors for this. It was formed in 2023. Goes from Chattanooga to Nashville. USBR 221 is in Georgia. The state corridor is Georgia. It's 12.6 miles or 20 kilometers. It was formed in 2018. It was originally established in 2015 as USBR 321 and was renumbered in 2018. USBR 421 is in Georgia. The state corridor is Georgia. It is 38.8 miles or 62 kilometers. It was formed in 2018. It was originally established in 2015 as USBR 521 and renumbered in 2018. USBR 621 goes through Georgia. This corridor is Georgia and was formed in 2016. USBR 23 goes through states Kentucky and Tennessee. The corridors are Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. It is 262.5 miles or 422 kilometers. It was formed in 2013. This planned route takes it through northern Alabama. Route to Tennessee was approved in 2013. Kentucky route was approved in 2018. USBR 25 is in Ohio. The state borders are Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. This is 308.2 miles, 496 kilometers, and it was formed in 2021. Planned to run from the north of Detroit, Michigan, to the south of Mobile, Alabama. USBR 225 is in Ohio. The state border is Ohio. It's only 2.3 miles or 4 kilometers, and it was formed in 2021. USBR 30. The states are Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Dakota, and Ohio. The state corridors are New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Montana. It is 628.6 miles or 1,012 kilometers. It was formed in 2018. First segment established in 2018, planned to incorporate the Lake Express ferry across Lake Michigan between Muskegon, Michigan, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, follows the North Coast Inland Trail in Ohio. The USBR 230 state in Ohio. The corridor is in Ohio. It is 78.1 miles or 126 kilometers. It was formed in 2021. The coastal alternative to USBR 30, following the coast of Lake Erie, first auxiliary route in the system to share its number with another route in another state. USBR 230, the state is Wisconsin, the corridor is Wisconsin, it is 40.02 miles or 64 kilometers. It was formed in 2020. This provides a non-ferry alternative to USBR 30 in the part of Wisconsin when the Merrimack Ferry is not in service. USBR 35 is in Michigan and Indiana. The state corridors are Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi. It is 856.95 miles or 1,379 kilometers. It was formed in 2012. This was planned to run from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan to USBR 45 on the Mississippi River in Mississippi or Louisiana. Michigan portion dedicated on May 19, 2012. Indiana portion approved in September 2015. Northbound route through downtown to Charlevoix, Michigan, added in 2018. USBR 35A is in Indiana. The corridor is Indiana. It is 30.4 miles or 49 kilometers. It was formed in 2015. USBR 235 is from Indiana. The corridor is Indiana. It is 122.1 miles or 197 kilometers. It's 2021 is when it was formed. USBR 36. The states are Indiana, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. The state corridors are Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. It is 471.6 miles or 759 kilometers, formed in 2014. The segment from Chicago to Michigan state line established in 2014. The segment through Pennsylvania added in 2018. Plans to stretch from eastern Oregon to New York City. USBR 37. The state is Illinois. The corridors are Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois. It is 57.4 miles or 92 kilometers, and it was formed in 2014. It is currently run from Wisconsin to Illinois state line south to Chicago. Planned to begin at USBR 10 near the border with Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Originally planned as part of USBR 66. USBR 40. The state is Washington. The approved corridors are Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Washington, D.C. This is only 1.9 miles or 3.1 kilometers. It was formed in 2021. It was established in Washington in 2021, comprising a short section from Tecla, Washington to the Idaho state border along the Michigan State Route 274, and to follow the Great American Rail Trail from La Push, Washington to Washington, D.C. USBR 41. The state is Minnesota. The state border is Minnesota. It is 315 miles or 507 kilometers. It was formed in 2016. It's established in Minnesota in 2016. Runs from Canada-US border to Minnesota south of the Mississippi River in USBR 45. USBR 44. The state is Ohio. The state corridors are Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. It is 196.1 miles, 316 kilometers, was formed in 2021. Planned to run from USBR 36 south of Toledo, Ohio to Davenport, Iowa. USBR 45. The state is Minnesota. The state corridors are Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana. This is 726 miles or 1,168 kilometers. Was formed in 2012. Planned to incorporate the Mississippi River Trail and run from northern Minnesota south to New Orleans, Louisiana. It is unclear whether this route will primarily run along either the east or west bank or the east bank of the Mississippi River. The route was approved in May 21st, 2012. USBR 50, District of Columbia. The states are District of Columbia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Nevada, and California. Washington, D.C. The corridors are Washington, D.C., Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and California. This is 1,500.65 miles or 2,415 kilometers. It was formed in 2013. It was planned to be one of the longest routes, stretching from Cape Henlopen State Park in Delaware through Washington, D.C., in the east to New San Francisco, California. USBR 50A is in Ohio. The corridor is Ohio. It is 32.3 miles or 52 kilometers. It was formed in 2015. USBR 51, the state of Arkansas. The corridors are Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana. It is 88.5 miles or 142 kilometers, formed in 2024. Planned route to run from USBR 10 in Minnesota to USBR 45 west of New Orleans. USBR 66. The states are Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and California. The state corridors are Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California. It is 1,117.2 miles or 1,798 kilometers. It was formed in 2018. It's planned to roughly follow the decommissioned U.S. Route 66 highway from Chicago, Illinois to Los Angeles, California. Originally planned to continue north to Wisconsin on what is now planned USBR 37. USBR 70, the state is Utah. The state corridors are Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and California. It is 450 miles or 724 kilometers. It was formed in 2015. Planned to run from USBR 76 to Colorado to USBR 66. USBR 76, states are Virginia, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas. The corridors are Virginia, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Oregon. This is 2,358.7 miles, or 3,796 kilometers, formed in 1982. This is one of the two original routes. This is planned to be expanded to the longest route, running from the existing eastern terminus in the Atlantic Ocean in Virginia, west of the Pacific Ocean, west of Eugene, Oregon. The number refers to 1776 and the U.S. bicentennial year 1976, when this was the bicentennial route. Unlike USBR-1, unofficial signs exist in places along the route, which is officially only from Virginia to Missouri. Route approved and signed in Missouri in October 2013. The Kansas segment was realigned in 2018, shortening the route by 7 miles. USBR 176, the state is Virginia, the corridor is Virginia, this is 17 miles long, or 27 kilometers, was formed in 2016. USBR 77, the state is Utah, the state corridors are Montana, Idaho, and Utah, is 349.8 miles, 563 kilometers. It was formed in 2021, planned to run from USBR 76 and USBR 30 in Montana to USBR 70 in Utah. USBR 677, the state is Utah, the state corridor is Utah, and is 40.6 miles, 67 kilometers, was formed in 2021. USBR 877, the state is Utah, the state corridor is Utah, it is 88.8 miles, 143 kilometers, was formed in 2021. USBR 79, the state is Utah, the state corridors are Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. It is 269.3 miles, 433 kilometers, was formed in 2015. Planned to run from USBR 36 in Idaho to USBR 90 in Phoenix, Arizona. USBR 679, the state is Utah, the corridor is Utah. It's 9.4 miles, or 15 kilometers, was formed in 2021. USBR 80, the state is Arkansas. The state corridors are North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. It's 177.5 miles, or 286 kilometers. It was formed in 2022, planned to run from North Carolina coast to Oklahoma City. USBR 81, the state is Washington, the corridor is Washington, is 103.4 miles, or 166.4 kilometers. It was formed in 2021, planned to run from the Canadian border to USBR 20 in Washington. Washington's section grew from Asselton to the Spokane-Whitman County line in Latah. USBR 281, the state is Washington, the state corridor is Washington, Idaho. It is 23.1 miles, 37 kilometers, was formed in 2021. Washington section approved from Idaho state line near Uniontown to Pullman with short section in Clarkston. USBR 87, the state is Alaska and Washington. The corridors are Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California. It is 14 miles, or 23 kilometers long, and was formed in 2011. The middle route of 3 serving the 3 west coast states and Alaska. It is planned to use the Alaska Marine Highway to connect USBR 95 north of Los Angeles, California, to Skagway, Alaska. Currently, the only approved route follows the Klondike Highway. USBR 90, the states are Florida and Arizona. The state corridors are Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. It is 997.04 miles, or 1,605 kilometers. It was formed in 2014. This is the southernmost route, running from near Jacksonville, Florida, west of San Diego, California. The first section was established in Florida on November 24, 2014. The section through Arizona was approved on September 24, 2015. USBR 90A, the state is Florida, the corridor is Florida. It's 23.6 miles, 38 kilometers, and was formed in 2014. USBR 95, the states are Alaska, Washington, California. The corridors are Alaska, Washington, Oregon, and California. It is 792.1 miles, or 1,275 kilometers. It is was formed in 2011. USBR 95 currently runs from Delta Junction, Alaska to Valdez via the Richardson Highway. It is planned to follow the Alaska Marine Highway from Valdez to Bellingham, Washington, and then will go south to San Diego, California. It is expected to incorporate the Pacific Coast Bicycle Route. USBR 97. The states are Alaska, Washington. The state corridor is Alaska and Washington. It is approximately 66.7 miles or 912 kilometers. It was formed in 2011. This is the westernmost route in the system. USBR 97 flies in Alaska and Washington. It connects Fairbanks, Anchorage, and Seward via the Seward and Parks Highways to Discovery Bay, Washington. It is planned to extend south along the US 101 corridor to USBR 95 near Oregon border. This is a list of the prioritized corridors. Below is an incomplete list of prioritized corridors, 50-mile wide areas where a route may be developed. USBR 5, the locale Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Notes: plan to run from USBR 76 in Virginia south to USBR 1, Savannah, Georgia. It will run east of USBR 1. USBR 9, the locale is New York, is planned to run from the Canada-US border to New York City, to initially planned to be designated to USBR 3. USBR 14, locales Montana, Idaho, and Washington. Notes: Missoula, Montana to Seattle, Washington vicinity. USBR 14, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. Plan to run from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington. USBR 48, locales Utah and Nevada. It's planned to run from Salt Lake City, Utah to USBR 50 near Reno, Nevada. USBR 55, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. Planned to run from the Canada-US border in North Dakota south to the Mexican border in Texas. USBR 65, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Planned to run from the USBR 10 in North Dakota south to USBR 84 near Lubbock, Texas. USBR 75, the locale is Colorado, New Mexico, Texas. The notes: planned to run from USBR 76 in Colorado to USBR 90 in El Paso, Texas. USBR 84, locale is South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico. The notes: is planned to run from the South Carolina coast near El Paso, Texas. And finally, USBR 85, the locale is Washington, Oregon, California. This is the easternmost route serving the 3 West Coast states. Planned to run from USBR 10 to USBR 70 east of Los Angeles. Connected sources are Trans-America Bicycle Trail, Trans-Canada Trail, Adventure Cycling Route Network, Eurovelo, Numbered Node Cycle Network, a contrasting informational system that encourages users to take arbitrary routes. U.S. state bicycle route systems are List of Bicycle PA Bicycle Routes, Delaware Bicycle Route 1, List of Bicycle Routes in North Carolina, List of Georgia State Bicycle Routes, List of New York State Bicycle Routes. I will not read the references, but I will read the description. I hope you're asleep. Thank you for listening. When you wake up, please leave a comment of what kind of Wikipedia article you would like to listen to tomorrow night.